Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Phay, and welcome to the channel. You know, when life throws you lemons, you grab some tequila. Today, we're going to continue my look at the top 30 games of 2025. And on today's list, we're going to be looking at numbers 20 through 11. Okay, so my number 20 game is a game that it's actually the fifth game in the series of games that's been coming out. And the tagline on this one is Terror is in the Eye of the Beholder. And we're talking about Horrified Dungeons and Dragons from Ravensburger. Now, like I said, this is the fifth game that has come out, and basically it's along the same mechanics, but they do add a couple new things. So like in this one, you're actually going to have a D20 dice that you're going to roll that's going to do different things. The nice thing is when you're moving around the map, there's actually teleporters that you can actually go through. They're going to bounce around a little bit faster. You got four new monsters you're going to be going up against. You got, what was it, a red dragon, I think a mimic. There's, of course, the Beholder, and I think the last one's a Displacer Beast. But it's basically the same thing. You're trying to defeat the monsters. You have little puzzles you have to do to defeat them, but then you're going to have civilians that are going to show up on the board, and you got to try to maneuver those civilians to the locations they want so you can get some bonus cards, but yet you got to go to all the different locations around the board because you need to get your supplies and everything you need to be able to take down the monster. So I really enjoyed the Horrified genre of games. I've enjoyed pretty much every one of them, some better than others. I really like this Dungeons and Dragons one, but like I said, this is my number 20 from last year, and that's Horrified Dungeons and Dragons. So number 19 on my list is a different type of a game. It's a two-player game. It's a deck building game, but it's a dual deck building game, and that is The Last Command by Sentient Games LLC. Now, in The Last Command, basically you're going to be playing as either the Federation Remnant or you're going to play as the Sunder. And the Sunder is basically an alien race that's coming down to your planet, and they want to try to take it over. So what you're trying to do is in your deck and on your side is you have two decks. You have a ship deck and then you have a crew deck. Now on your player mat, all right, you have different locations where you're going to be able to put your ship cards, but you're also going to be able to put your crew and assign them to different things. And so you're going to be able to get special abilities. And the overall goal of this game is you just need to try to drop your opponent's life down from, I believe it's 20 all the way down to 0. The first one that can do that can actually win the game. But like I said, it's a really unique combat deck game, okay? Because usually you have your deck building and you have the one deck, but in this case where you have your two, the cool thing I like about it is when you're refreshing your hand every turn, you can draw your cards one at a time, and you can say draw a crew until you get what you want, maybe. And if you got another card left, it's like, oh well, then I'm going to draw a ship card, or vice versa, or however you want to do it. But there's cards that will go up against each other, so you can try to harm your opponent a little bit. There's like 6 or 8 different decks that you can buy from. Really cool, really unique game. I absolutely love this game, and that is The Last Command by Sentient Games LLC. So number 18 on my list is basically an alternate history Euro style game where you're trying to build the first computer, and that's Ada's Dream by Alley Cat Games. Now in this game, you're basically going to be adding dice, gears, different programs to your blueprints that are on your board, and you're basically trying to build the first analytical engine, okay, which they're going to call the computer in this case. All right, you're using a dice rondelle. In this one, you're trying to manipulate some of the mechanisms on the board itself. It is a really unique style game. There's a lot of think in this game, and it's not a super long game, but man, I'll tell you what, trying to figure out how you're going to be able to do everything and how you're going to get the gears and how you're going to be able to get your lines on your actual board to score you the most victory points. It's a really cool, really unique, really interesting puzzle, and I had a lot of fun playing this one. And like I said, that's my number 18. That's Ada's Dream by Alley Cat Games. So number 17 on my list is basically it's a zombie game, but it's in the medieval setting. You're out in the cold, and it's a cooperative game. And oh well, you probably figured it out by now, but it's Zombicide White Death by Simon. Okay, now this is basically this more of the same Zombicide. Okay, Zombicide is what Zombicide is, but now, like I said, this is the medieval section. You're out in the cold, so there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen because of that. But you're still having the objectives you have to meet. You still got to try to fight off all the hordes of zombies that are coming after you. Zombicide is one of my favorite games. I love playing it. It's a blast every single time I play it. You're just chucking a bunch of dice. You're just hoping you can kill a bunch of stuff. Sometimes you're just going to get overrun by people, but it's just a ball. Okay, and this one here, you got to make sure you try to complete the different quests for it, but it's fun every single time I play it. But that's my number 17, Zombicide White Death from Come On. So number 16 on this list is basically a reverse role of what I'm used to playing. Okay. Now I love deck building games, and this is a deck building game, but rather than playing the heroes in this deck building game, we're actually going to be playing the villains. All right. Now this is DC's deck building game, Arkham Asylum. And this is by Cryptozoic Entertainment. Now, in this one, you're basically playing as the Joker or Harley Quinn or the Riddler or Two-Face. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to go up against, well, Batman and all of his allies. Okay, so you actually get to play the bad guy in this one and go up against all of the good guys. So it's, like I said, it's kind of that reverse role. Now it's basically it's the DC deck building game. Okay, some people love it, some people hate it. It's one of those things where sometimes it doesn't make sense. Like, well, okay, you're the Riddler, but yet you have two faces coin or something like that. Things just don't seem to be what they should be. But it's just a fun game. I always enjoy playing this game. It's easy to get to table. It's fast to play. It's quick to learn. So much fun. And that's my number 16, the DC deck building game, Arkham Asylum from Cryptozoic Entertainment. All right, so number 15 on my list is a game that honestly I did not think was going to make my list. It's a game based off of another game, or it uses that game, the mechanisms from another game. And I enjoy it, but this one here just did it in such a cool, unique way that I couldn't believe it. Okay, now this is a 1v1 or a 2v2 game, but this is Battle for the Deep, and it's powered by Axis and Allies. Now, Battle for the Deep is actually done by Renegade Game Studios, where you're basically playing one of the four aquatic factions, all right? And you're basically trying to vie for control over the ocean floor. Now, who do we have in this thing? We have the Undersea Kingdoms, all right, led by, Coraline Oceanus, the Leviathans. We have the Protectors and their turtle mother, and then we have the Denizens of the Deep. Okay, and those are controlled by a necromancer, and he's mean and vicious, and I do not like him at all. But it's really, really fun. Now, in this game, if you play it, say 2v2, which is my favorite way to play it, each person picks a different faction, and you don't always have to play the same faction. So you can have, the Denizens of the Deep and the Turtles play together in one game, and then two other factions can play together. But it's basically an Axis and Allies game, or it feels very much like an Axis and Allies game, but it's just that 2v2 mode. And that's probably one of my favorite ways to play the Axis and Allied games, is in a team mode rather than a one-on-one. Okay, but this one here, I just had so much fun playing it. It was so super thematic, a lot of fun. I thought it was a very great game. And like I said, that is Battle for the Deep, powered by Axis and Allies, and that's from Renegade Game Studio. So number 14 on my list is basically it is a new standalone version of a game in an already existing line of games. All right, but this time what they're doing is they're bringing a little bit of cold into it. Well, it's the second game that's got cold in it. All right, in this particular list, and that is Everdell Silverfrost, and that is by Starling Games and Tabletop Tycoon. Now, this is basically, it is Everdell at its core. All right, with a few modifications. Now, the cool thing about this one is they do now have snow in there. And you do have your little people that have little snowshoes, and so those people, they have their little special abilities they can do with trying to get snow out of the way. So you can go to areas that already have people already there, which is actually one of the really nice things. So if somebody does take a spot that you want to go to, well, you can send one of your guys potentially in there to actually do that. But at its core, it is still an Everdell game. You're still trying to build out your tableau that you want. Now, they do something a little bit different in this one. They have chimneys in this one. So that way, if you have the chimney for a card, then you can actually kind of play those cards. Discounted, kind of like before, if you had a card that says, hey, if you get this card, you can actually just play it. So they use chimneys in this case. Okay, and you have a little chimney token that you'll put on those, and it's really cool, really unique mechanism. I really enjoyed Everdell Silverfrost. I honestly think this is probably my favorite in all of the Everdell lines. It was that much fun for me to play. And that is my number 14, as I said, Everdell Silverfrost, and that's by Starling Games and Tabletop Tycoon. So number 13 on my list is a game that a lot of you may not have actually ever heard of, and I think it's one of these games, it's kind of a under the radar type game, and I think more people really should hear about this game, because when I first saw it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to play this game theme alone. Okay, and this is a game where basically you're a musician, you're living in your basement, you're living in your garage, whatever it may be, and you're just trying to get started in the world, and that is Famous Stage 1 from Electric Loot. Now, this game here is so much fun. Okay, all of the cards, the song cards, everything else, they have these really kooky titles, so they really involve you in the game. And what you're basically doing is on every round, you got an X number of hours of a day that you can do different things. Now you can use that time to go try to recruit some roadies for you, or you may need to go get a publicist, or you may need to write a new song or something like that. So but there's different tracks. You need to try to move, all up on those different tracks, try to, be more prestigious. But at the same time, you're also trying to do different gigs. Okay. And you're also trying to go to the thrift stores. You're trying to get clothes. You're trying to get equipment. You're trying to do whatever you need to do. Now those gigs, you got a van that's going to be moving closer and closer to those gigs every turn. And when it gets to those gigs, you have to meet their criteria for that. Okay. And then you're going to see how many points you score, how much money you're going to get. You're going to be able to buy more stuff. Okay. And then ultimately at the end of the game, whoever has the most points is going to win. This is a super, super, super thematic game. I enjoy playing this game so very much. I laugh every time I draw a new song and I look at the title of it. It just cracks me up, but it is really good. I enjoy playing this solo. I enjoy playing this multiplayer. And that is my number 13 famous Stage 1 from Electric Loot. So number 12 on this list is probably the heaviest game that I have on this list. And it's a game that the theme again really brought me into this game. And this is basically, you're in the roaring 20s, it's their prohibition era, and that is Speakeasy from Eagle-Gryphon Games. Now, I'm a super big fan of Lacerda games. I absolutely love them. They're heavy games and they sometimes take quite a bit to learn. And this was no exception. I had to sit down and it took me several hours to really learn how to play this game. But I enjoy Lacerda games so much that I'm willing to invest my time to really learn it and really understand the game, because once I do, everything just clicks. And at that point, I find the gameplay to be just so smooth. And this is no exception. The cool thing about this one is, I mean, you have your spaces on the board that, your speakeasies, your casinos, and everything else that you're trying to take over. But you also have the mobs, and they got their spaces on the board as well. And then you got cops you're going to be patrolling. And there's 3 different areas, sections of the map, and a whole bunch of districts in each one of those sections. But the thing is on all the different turns, when the mobs are going to be coming out, for example. So you know which sections the mobs are starting in, and then you know the next turn where the mobs are going to be coming. So you know if they're not in any one of those sections now, they eventually will be. So it's one of those games where it's like, well, do I want to try to open up my speakeasies in spaces that don't have any mobs in them? And then I got to take my chances and hopefully I can get strong enough so when they do come in, I can actually take them out. Or do I want to just instantly try to build up, my strength and take out the earlier mobs, and then I don't got to worry about the mobs taking over my area, but then I have to expand my resources. But at the same time, then you have the cops. They're kind of going around all the different districts, and you kind of know where they're at and where they've been. Okay. Because if you have a speakeasy there, but you don't have anybody working the door, well, then it's not going to produce. But at the same time, now you have to have your goods, and you got to get those sent all to your speakeasies so that you can actually score your points. Oh, there is so much going on in this game. There's a lot that you want to do, but there's very little that you can do. It is so much fun. Currently, it's probably my favorite Lacerda game. It's right there in the top 2. Absolutely love it. That's my number 12. That is Speakeasy from Eagle-Gryphon Games. So the final one on this list for today, my number 11, is a game I like to think of it more as a solo only game. It will play 1 or 2 players cooperatively. I think it's better solo. And it's a deck building game, but it also uses the card crafting mechanism. Now, I was never a super big fan of the card crafting mechanism, but in this game it works really, really well, and that is Unstoppable by Renegade Game Studios. Now, Unstoppable, basically you're just trying to use the card crafting system. You're trying to get a better deck, but you're trying to ultimately go up against a final boss in this one. Okay. Very fun, very thematic game. All right. It's just trying to figure out how you're going to get the cards. What are you going to be able to do? How are you going to be able to build that deck up? How are you going to craft those cards so that you can get a strong enough deck so you can actually take out that main boss? I'll tell you what, every time I play this game, it is a lot of fun. It is a brain burner. To me, it's really hard to win this one, but that's kind of solo games I like. I don't like games that I'm going to win a lot of. I like games that I really have to work hard at to win, and Unstoppable is definitely one of those games. And that is my number 11 from Renegade Studios. All right, folks, there you go. That is my list of 20 through 11 for my top 30 games of 2025. What are your favorite games of 2025? Do you want to wait for me to show you what my number 1 is, or what's your 11 through 20 as well? Let me know down in the comments below. There's a whole lot of games that were released last year. I only played a very, very small fraction of those games. So maybe not all my games that I've played are going to be on your list. Who really knows? These are just games I really enjoyed playing, had a lot of fun. And like I said, it's my 11 through 20. So let me know in the comments below what's on your list. Well, thank you once again for joining me today. As always, I please ask you to like this video on YouTube, Board Game Geek, Facebook, or even on X. Please leave me a comment on any one of those platforms, and I'll get to those comments just as soon as I can. And also, folks, if you like the videos I do here, if you haven't done so already, I humbly ask you to click on the subscription button and even click on the bell and be notified when I drop new videos. And also, if you like the videos I do here, I also post videos over on the Discriminating Gamers page. Over there, we'll do some unboxings, playthroughs, and reviews. I'll leave a link to Cody's page down in the details below. So why was the belt sent to jail? For holding up a pair of pants.